this is my design portfolio. But I guess to preface that, I'm Matt Davis. I'm a fifth-year senior, industrial and systems engineering with a minor in green engineering. It's been a long ride. I'm looking forward to graduation, but I'll be sticking around for another 2 years. I've been accepted into the master's program. I'll be sticking around in the IC department. And my interests are primarily in human-computer interaction, graphical user interface, augmented reality, really cool things, anything that involves visual display technologies. So the reasoning for why I made this portfolio was because I was applying for grad school. And as the last presenter mentioned, with a field that is primarily associated with design, creativity, artwork, it's good to have a portfolio to showcase some of your past projects and in relation to that field. And a lot of the grad schools had an empty box that said, please insert a link to your design portfolio. And so I said, well, I gotta go on and make one. So this is my homepage. It just has a few keywords: creativity, theoretical design, research, mobile development. About 90% of what you see on this portfolio has been done outside of academia. It's just me wanting to do cool creative things, outside projects. You can click any one of the pictures and it'll link you to that specific page. There's a little Xbox avatar of me down there. You can like the page if you want. Okay, so we'll go into the bio. So I really like having a picture, and it seems like everyone had a picture. It's really nice because it gives your portfolio a really nice personal touch. And as you can see, there's more Xbox avatars. I'm a big gamer. It wasn't too hard to get them in there. But this is just a basic bio explaining kind of what I've already told you guys, some of my career goals, and my design work. There's the button there to contact me. And then there's a link to my resume. It just opens up. It's pretty dense. I've been here for a while. Let's see. So this was one really, really cool project I worked on a couple years back with two other students. One has since graduated. She was in the architecture department. She did all of the Photoshop for this project. I kind of gave her the creative ideas, and her name is Elizabeth Lyons, and she was in the architecture department. You may or may not know her. But this is part of the Disney Imaginations competition, and the whole concept for this project was to design a recreational experience that had the Disney theme, but wasn't going to be placed in a Disney theme park. So it needed to be placed somewhere that didn't have something Disney already there. So we decided to go and build something in Chicago. We didn't physically go there, but the whole concept was this time tunnel where guests would be able to go up one building, and there'd be this, I guess they'd start here, right? And they'd take their smartphone devices and they'd use their smartphones to scan into the system digitally instead of printing out a ticket. And they could see the different times they could enter. The purple bars at the bottom would just show the energy used for that day of the attraction. The whole idea was based off this story with these two little characters, Warp and Slingshot, and they're time travelers from the year 2065. They come back telling us that the future is not so great, the architecture is not that great, the energy use is not good, and they're not utilizing their resources appropriately. So they come back to inform us to try and generate new ideas for different ways we could develop new technologies for the future. And I could go more in depth, but due to time, I won't. But let's scroll down. This just gives you a brief introduction to the project, the story behind the design, and the guest experience. And this is what it would look like inside the tunnel. So when you come up, there's one side that gives you all of the current technologies, the current modes of transport, and you walk around with your smartphone using augmented reality to kind of solve some games, collect different items on your phone, and then Warp and Slingshot tell you, okay, you found all the technologies, now we can cross the time tunnel. As you cross, you've got these projected images going around the glass tube, and it's at the same time, there's sensors looking at the real world, so real vehicles traveling on the highway, real people, and it overlays an image of, say, a car's passing by. It's going to overlay an image of that, of say a futuristic hover transport instead of a car. And these images are circling you, and you can see, so if a plane is flying by, you can look through the glass through that image, and you will see maybe a spaceship flying by that syncs with the physical object. And as you go down the time tunnel, the images become more futuristic until you reach the year 2065. So that was the whole concept behind that. Disney owns the rights now, so if you see that in Chicago, I'm not making any money. So Taiga, it's a long-winded name, but essentially I was designing a user interface for an electronic flight bag application. For those of you who don't know, real quick, pilots typically would go on and board their plane with a 40-pound bag of aeronautical charts, weather data, weather maps, and things. And now they've condensed that all into an electronic application that they use as an iPad on flight. So if you've ever walked in and you poke your head into the cockpit, they may have an iPad. That's essentially what we're designing here. And I was out at the NASA Ames the NASA Ames Research Center out in Moffett Field near San Francisco. And we wanted, the preface for this was to design an electronic flight bag application that could be used by pilots flying in Alaska. The flight bags in the contiguous U.S. are already very, very good, but the ones in Alaska aren't so great, and we wanted to develop a system with unique features that would enhance their flying ability. I have a link here that opens up to the research paper. It's pretty long. Then you've got, I made a poster for a recent presentation I had, so I put that up here as well. And I used Wix as well, which is really cool. So you can blow up any of these images, say this one, the moving map. So the pilot would be able to see this in flight. And as they're flying, they see little movie icons. And what that is when they click one, it'll highlight green, and it'll give them a live picture of what that location looks like. Because when they take off, they have no idea of what the weather is like in that route, because it changes so frequently. So these live updates allow them to try to plan their flight during flight, and make turns wherever they need, or take any kind of evasive action before they hit a different weather pattern. But essentially I just designed some of the user interface here, different interactions that the pilot would make. I worked with a group of other NASA researchers and another gentleman who works outside of NASA but does a lot of user interface work. And then I highlight some of the button nomenclature. So it's one thing to look at an image, it's another thing to read what it's actually doing, or what the purpose is of that button. So that's that. And so part of I was a member of the NASA Ames Aeronautics Academy. And what you just saw, Tiger was our individual project, and Raptor was our group project. So we worked individual, 8 to 5, and the group project was 5 to midnight. But on the weekends, we went to Disneyland and went to the beach, and we had a whole lot of fun. So here, we were looking at, have you all ever seen a quadcopter, those little RC helicopters with 4 rotors? Our team was tasked with trying to upscale those to fit 30 people, physical people, and implement it into the San Francisco Bay Area airspace, and try to theoretically conceptualize how it would work, what it would look like. So as an ISE, because most of them were aeronautical engineers and mechanical engineers, I was able to put some input into the theoretical design, look at, perform some simulations on what the quadcopters, their capacities would be. I got to design a cool quadcopter interior vehicle architecture. It's a little bit unorthodox, but I had a lot of fun. It would fit about 30 or so people, and they'd travel in these pods. The pods would send them up, and then the helicopter would fly away. There's a whole lot of reasoning behind why I did that. The number one was because of reducing ground noise, because these things would be pretty loud. I made this in Google SketchUp. I did not make the human figures. This is what one of the vertiport structures would look like. So we wanted to design this on top of the current infrastructure. So one idea I had was to why not just build the tower over an existing highway and connect it to an existing train station. So people can just take BART, get off, get on the quadcopter, and go on down somewhere else. So that was a whole lot of fun. This was one idea for one of the main hubs. This is what some of the Simio programs use. if you ask any ISC, they know exactly what this is. It's a lot of fun once you know how to use it. But I essentially designed these little quadcopters, and so the green triangle serves as the bay, and it's just 4 passengers right now, and they dock and move and whatnot. So get out of there. This is just some YouTube videos. Another thing which I forgot to mention was I have links. So if I hit the little NASA bubble or the meatball, it brings you to the website. So if anyone comes to my website saying, "Oh, this is really cool, who did he work with?" Well, now you can just click the link and it sends you right to the main page. Same with the Aeronautics Academy. Same with Disney Imagineering. You can click it and you can be directed right to the website, and then your team can make a cool project. As I mentioned, I want to go into user interface. Right now, I'd like to do heads-up displays. I have these big dreams of doing cool things, but since I have a Windows phone and it's free to develop on the Windows phone, I figured I'd learn some little tools. So I made some apps. They don't really do much, but this app here just kind of showcases my portfolio as an application, and it has some of the same titles: biography, design work, LinkedIn, resume. Biography, you can hit the little play button and the little computer will read to you. Yeah, that's, if you go talk to a computer scientist, you'll be like, wow, that's nothing, I can do that in my sleep. But I cannot. This was something I made just in my free time. It's a cool idea I had for an app. It's just a bunch of pictures right now. You can swipe through it, but nothing actually works. The concept was we all have families with a bunch of, well, my parents have, I don't know, 10, 15 photo albums. And I'm going to be taking those one day and saving them. So I figured, why can't I just take screenshots of those photos and digitize them into digital photo albums? A lot of apps kind of do this, but this has a little bit of a family touch to it. And so you could hit the button, create an album, you can give it an album title, a location, and then here in these big blue squares where you see the live video, or the live kind of image video of what you're going to take a screenshot of. You can save them into these little groups here, these folders, these albums, and you can share them with friends. And the photos would, if you guys have ever seen a Windows interface, how the photos kind of tile through. I guess one quick thing, Hokey Helper is a lot of fun. Hopefully, well, if you guys have a Windows phone, Hokey Helper is coming out in May, and you'll be able to check when the next bus is departing, when the dining centers are open. You can check out the campus map and direct you to any building on campus. You can hit context, you can look at any Twitter posts, anything related to Virginia Tech. I'm working with 2 other guys on that. And this is something I worked on last semester in a graduate class. We were looking at designing a decision support system. And you can kind of scroll through some of the icons that I have in here. So in case Blacksburg was to snow out and no one could get out, you'd have these people these high-ranking officials had this app where they could look at, kind of get a high-level view of what the current status is of Blacksburg. And then I've got a whole lot of other things that probably need to come out now. I designed a pizza box. That was cool. This one was a little bit interesting because, as you all know, you can't really throw a pizza box. You can't recycle a pizza box because of grease. So why not add an extra panel that absorbs that grease, and then you can just rip that off and recycle everything else. And that was the concept there. And this was some cool idea I had for designing the next cool Taco Bell station. It kind of work around this circle, and the little ovals there would light up green if that's what the customer ordered, so it wouldn't require as much as a mental workload. Oh, this is green, this is green, this is green. Something just went on. But anywho, that's really all I have. There's a contact page, more little Xbox avatars, but yeah. So I hope you all enjoyed.